Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. Today I want to do a time-lapse video. I know I've done time-lapse videos with me drawing on paper, but I kind of wanted to try out, working on something in Photoshop, recording the whole process and then speeding it up. So this particular piece, I called it Armor and Light. It, it was an idea that I had. I kind of was messing around with Daz, and it started off just with she just had two hands, and and then all of a sudden I was like thinking, oh, maybe it would be cool if she had like four arms, and each arm she had like a sword, and then I was even thinking, oh, would it be cool to have like glowing objects and kind of interacting with the figure and everything. And the initial idea, I visualized in my head, and it was like clear as day when I rendered it. But my first attempt in bringing it into Photoshop, it was just like I spent a good 2 hours just trying to experiment and see what I could do with it, and it just ended up like not turning out the way I wanted it to. So this video is actually a second attempt to just kind of add a background element and just try to make something of it. And I think my mistake was, sometimes when you render light sources like like I have here with the sword and the hair, it's almost like it limits you to what you can take away later on in the process unless you just re-render everything. So it kind of, once I had all those lighting kind of effects applied, it's hard to not go this certain route. So I felt like I was a little stuck. I probably should have just tossed the idea and started from, did something new, but I just kept pushing it and pushing it. But the final result came out pretty decent, and I shared it anyway. So yeah, let's just get to this process video. Play right here. Okay. All right, so this one, I usually just start off with the black screen, put the figure in the center, and this is my usual thing. Is I have this like, I always use the same texture to start everything off for some reason. It's just every single piece that I've done. And then I do some like overlay effects with some, kind of blue tinting to kind of even out everything. And then here I kind of picked out, what I thought was a cool background. And then this is sort of, trying to blend the figure even more into the background. But like I said before, her hair is glowing, her swords are glowing. So keep that in mind. Originally I wanted to kind of have her emerging through some sort of smoke, and it just wasn't working. The lighting was off, or I don't know, it was just something that was getting really frustrated. So with this one I just sort of think, okay, I'll put her in kind of a enchanted forest, and I love the shape of the branches. It's almost like a circular type thing. And here I'm just sort of laying down some tones. Like I do this a lot. I just kind of get a feel of what kind of colors I want to use. And I also, like this, I just throw texture on top of it to kind of like see if it's gonna trigger any ideas. Or in this instance I think I just tried it out and I was like, nope, it's not gonna work. And but I do that a lot. I just kind of experiment, and sometimes you have those little happy little accidents. You add a texture and it kind of brings out something in the image, and you surprise yourself. And here I just kind of used curves and did like a layer mask, and to kind of bring out more of the highlights, especially like the kind of the hair and the the eyes and the sword. And kind of makes it pop a little bit more. But again, at this point I was like, it's not, it's not looking the way I want it to. And I always go to panic mode and I start like throwing everything at it. And over here I'm just kind of throwing some textures, and I think I just kind of ended up tossing that one as well. If you notice in the layer menu, I have like at the layer 4 at the very top, I had masked out the swords and the hair. And the reason why I did that is because sometimes I lay so much texture on top with different layer effects that it affects the glow effect. So I wanted to have a mask so on top of all that I could just delete like the texture or just around the hair and the sword so they'd really pop, but I ended up not even using it. Um, and yeah, I just kind of stuck with, you know, what I was doing here. And I think this one I was just trying to make the figure pop even more, you know, make a little silhouette or vignette, whatever. That's what you call it. But yeah, yeah, like see, I like the contrast of yellow and blue, and so I was trying to make that work, you know, and then this part I had an idea of like, okay, to show a little bit of movement, I'm gonna add these little kind of light streaks, and not too like excited the way it came out with the light streaks, but I sort of was like, you know what, I'm just gonna leave it, you know. Sometimes you like overthink things, and you know, sometimes you're just like, okay, that looks cool, and so I just, you know, I'm masking these out and just adding a little bit there, so it's not so overbearing. But yeah, it's a weird process recording while you're working on something, and you know, because normally I don't even time myself on how long I work on something. I just sort of go with the flow, and if something's coming together quickly, it's coming together quickly. If it's not, I don't even, you know, pay attention to the clock. But with this, I was sort of like in the back of my head, I was like, okay, I'm recording this, so I have to have like some sort of structure, and I don't know if that affected the overall piece or not, you know, thinking I had to like hurry it, or, you know, maybe it did, maybe it didn't, I don't know, but definitely, you know, this is my first time doing this, so I'm going to definitely practice in the future. And here I kind of added a motion blur to the figure, and just to kind of give it again some motion, because you know it's a pretty static image, and you know I kind of wanted to kind of bring a little bit of excitement to it. And yeah, a lot of people were like, you know, why are you blurring everything? But I honestly think, you know, a certain amount of blurring and adds a cool effect to an image. You know, in the past, I've always like had like kind of crispy stuff, like crispy edges, and but my latest experiments, I've sort of you know, tried like really pushing just like almost blurring an image completely and then throwing textures on top to give that kind of painterly effect. And later on in this video, you'll kind of see how I lay some of my textures on top of the image to kind of give it an illustrated look. And here's another texture I try to lay on top, and yeah, it's just nothing was clicking. This was like probably 40 minutes in or something, and I was just like, damn, I want to like really start to look like something, and it just wasn't clicking. And that's for me, at least when I'm working, if you know, if things aren't like clicking right away, I get really frustrated, and I just start like going, oh man, like why isn't this looking good? And you know, I start thinking, oh, I need to like, maybe I should restart this, just do something completely new. And but I kind of had, you know, a little bit of hope in this particular one, because I really love the render, and you know, I really love the armor and the, you know, all the glowing effects. But man, it's like kind of limited overall idea changes and stuff. Like I was pretty much like, you know, oh, I guess I can just stick with this, and I don't know. It was a tough process. But yeah, here I'm kind of changing the lighting to kind of match more of the image. Yeah, here's some photo filters I've just been throwing on there. I do that a lot. I just kind of slight little tints sometimes add so much depth to an image. So I always try different stuff before I settle with something. And you know, I think this color was pretty much the final kind of color I decided to go with after experimenting with all the different color backgrounds and things like that. And that's, you know, some smoke, kind of add a little bit atmosphere to it. Yeah, and then this is, I think this is the part where I'm grouping all my files. I usually start off all this, like, you know, I won't group anything, everything will just be kind of scattered everywhere, and then, like, when I finally feel like, okay, it's time to just organize everything, I'll just put everything in little organized folders, and I always have my color balance, like lighting effect stuff on the very top, and sometimes textures on top of all the files below it, so in case you know, a client likes to work, and you know, sometimes I do album artwork with, you know, say I use this as a front cover, and then maybe they want like a back cover to match the same kind of lighting, to kind of go with the image. I'll just bring up the file and then use that as like a little template and design, and you know, it's a quick and easy way to kind of keep things consistent, and just in case I use it later for adding more artwork. But yeah, this is you know, I did another curves menu to kind of bring out the highlight in the eyes even more, and yeah, here I was trying to change the background color to kind of really make it pop, like a contrasting color, but I was just getting frustrated. I was like, man, it's not popping enough or something, because you know, the swords and hair are so bright that it's almost like you don't even need a background to make her pop. She's already popping right out of the image. So here I was just trying to add some color around it to sort of, it was just looking a little bit too yellow. It's always good to have an extra color to kind of balance it out. Yeah, more layer. I mean, I just keep adding all kinds of layers to stuff, and you know, sometimes my files get up to like, you know, 1 gigabyte. I know that's probably not a whole lot compared to some of my friends who do art, you know, use Photoshop. Sometimes they have like, you know, 5 gigabyte file, whatever, but pretty much my max is like probably about a little over a gig. But I try to keep it low. I try to flatten layers and, you know, use as little layers as possible, but you know, sometimes you just keep adding those little textures and special effects that just keeps adding to the file size, and you know, you can't stop like your ideas from, you know, all the different things you want to try out. So we just try not to think about file size and just kind of go for it and hope for the best. But yeah, so yeah, this is, I mean, to be honest, like at this stage, I was pretty much like, I mean, I don't have a lot of elements. I just have the background and the image, or the woman. So there wasn't a lot of stuff that I needed to add to it. So now it's just a matter of just like getting some kind of lighting effects that I'm happy with. And sometimes that takes the longest, to be honest, like doing all the, you know, cutting out and, you know, all the other stuff, like putting elements together is like the easy part. And the hard part is like, you know, being happy with what kind of, you know, color scheme you want to go with, what kind of mood and all that stuff. And yeah, see these parts I was like kind of saving the file, and here we go. I kind of was like, okay, maybe I can add a little bit of like, I have this thing with like a circular kind of halo on my my artwork. I always kind of go back to that look, you know, and it's one of those things that's just like, okay, I do it a lot, so it's almost like a signature type thing, so I use that as an excuse. And in this case, I just kind of masked some of the stuff out, and you know, say there's like energy kind of forming while she's moving the swords, and you know, the little crescent moon acted as like little horns, and I was just kind of like, okay, that looks sort of cool. I'll just, you know, keep that there. But yeah, yeah, and you know, at this point I was just like, okay, I'm not gonna like you know, the thing is with making artwork, not everything you do has to be like amazing, you know. And you know, I'm one of those people that's just like I like to post something just to kind of get it off my mind, because like you know, if I never posted this, if I say I just deleted it, or you know, it would just eat away at me. Like in this way, if I post it, it's almost like letting go of the artwork. And you know, sometimes people like the stuff that you don't necessarily like, and you know, I'm a working artist, so if a client wants to purchase it, that's more money in my pocket. So you know, don't ever feel like I'm not going to post something because you're not necessarily 100% happy with it. You never know, someone could really love it, and you know, you can make some money off of it too. So that's kind of like, that's sort of what I've adopted as the years went by. And oh, here we go. So this is a technique a good friend of mine, Dean Samad, wanted to know, and I'm actually going to do some videos for photomanipulation.com. They have a YouTube channel as well. This was actually the one I was going to use for them, but I figured, you know, I wasn't too happy with the overall image, so I wanted to really kind of debut with something that I really love. But I look forward to kind of doing more videos on that channel as well. But yeah, this is a cool kind of technique. I just sort of I wouldn't say invented, but it was, I don't know, I was there's this comic book artist named Bill Sienkiewicz, I think. Sienkiewicz. He has this particular style. It's, you know, he uses a lot of watercolors and inks, like ink pens, and I was like really, you know, studying how his stuff looks, and I kind of wanted to emulate a little bit of that. And I just, you know, and I also love Dave McKean. If you don't know who Dave McKean is, you know, be sure to look him up. You know, he kind of pioneered a lot of like the modern like photo manipulation kind of looks and techniques and stuff like that. Inspired a lot of artists. But you know, it was kind of an experiment. It was just like I wanted to kind of have this, you know, nothing really, just, you know, very scratchy kind of you know, somewhat following the form of the figure, but not like too clean. Just something that like kind of more like an abstract kind of experiment type thing. And it just sort of evolved into something like this, where I'll, you know, I found I can't remember where I got most of my Photoshop brushes, but I had this in my collection here, and it just seemed to work. It was kind of it's like almost like a pencil, you know, had a rough texture to it. And I just, one day I was just kind of, you know, sketching on top of one of my images, and then I messed with the, you know, I think I did it with soft light or something in the layer effects, and it kind of like blended in, but you could still see the lines and all the textures, and I was like, wow, it looks kind of cool. So I just kind of, every new piece that I created, I kind of fine-tuned it even more. And now it's like just my thing is like, if I'm kind of close to being done with an image, I will just you know, add that kind of as a finisher to kind of give that illustrated look. And you know, as you can see, it's not too time consuming, because it's not like, you don't have to be completely, you know, you don't have to stay in the lines. You can just sort of like, it's almost like giving a kid a crayon. It's kind of like, okay, we're gonna, you know, scratch on the surface here. And so here I kind of faded it even more, because I thought it was a little bit too strong. And then I use the same brush, and I change it to black, and I think I put that, I just sort of, with the black, I kind of contour all the little edges, and kind of gives that almost like the illustrated comic book look. Yeah, I think I put it to soft light as well to sort of blend it in even more. And you know, you try not to overdo it. Like, you know, if like right here, I think I overdid it with the chin area, so I just like erased it a little bit. But it just kind of, I don't know, looks like, you know, like ink on, you know, outlined on a photograph, and it gives that a real cool look. And I just, you know, I'm so glad that I found something that I, you know, that I enjoy kind of adding to my pictures that's not too like time consuming. Cause I know like there was one point where I was doing this like smudge tool and all that, but it was just too tedious. And this is a lot more fun. Like, and I love the effect. And a lot of people say like, how'd you do that effect? And well, here you go. This is pretty much how I do it. I just kind of, you know, experiment, and then I think yeah, I'm still doing the black kind of sketch lines here. I think okay, here's another layer, and I do another brush, kind of with like a paintbrush type of effect, and I think I set it to gray. And this is to kind of add like little strokes, and I think I yeah put it down the screen. I think I chose screen. I kind of lessen the transparency or the opacity a little bit, and I just sort of go over the figure and the background too, and it kind of this kind of adds a like a sort of like paint streaks or like watercolor effect too. So it's just kind of layering on different like textures, and I think even after this, I go even a step further, and you'll see in a couple seconds. But yeah, I'm just kind of going over all the branches, and then I'm messing with the opacity again to kind of lessen it, and at this part I'm just kind of erasing bits of it. All right, and then yeah, extra textures. Okay, and this one I created a little like canvas texture brush, and I set it to soft light again, and I mess with the opacity, so it just gives that like you can kind of see how it's almost it looks like a canvas, like I'm painting the canvas material on the image itself. And like normally I would get a canvas texture and just put it on top of the whole image, and that would be it. I'll kind of adjust it, but this seems a little bit more, I can kind of add more texture to a certain part and less on others. It's not as uniform, and it kind of adds, I think it actually makes the effect look even more realistic. And sometimes, you know, I just, like for the legs, I just like very roughly just kind of, you know, fill everything out, and see how I'm doing the edges around the blades, and it's like almost like it's giving that like it's a paintbrush effect, like I painted the swords with a paintbrush as opposed to, you know, just like blurred it. And that's another thing why I blur my images, because when I add all the textures, it gives that effect like it's an actual painting. So so yeah, this is also another fun little process too. It's, you know, not too accurate. You're just kind of, you know, adding little things here and there, and yeah. Yeah, I think I even went around the branches and to kind of, you know, tie it all in. But you don't want to be too, you know, accurate, because that doesn't make it fun. Like if it's too tedious, then it's like boring, you know. Like just, you know, just let your OCD go and just, you know, have fun with it. And that's why I'm trying to do with my artwork, is just kind of like not be so exact, and just kind of, you know, be more abstract. And I think it's a lot more fun that way. At this point, I'm just kind of tight, and I'm finding little spots that I missed here and there, and that's because you don't want to have something done and go like, oh yeah, I missed that little spot. But, you know, like I said before, just even if you did miss a spot, oh well, you can just say that's part of the process, that's part of the artwork, that's how I did it. Yeah, see, this is, I kind of went back to like, okay, now I got to figure out what am I gonna like. See, I kind of like, you know, was thinking, okay, maybe I can make the colors contrast even more, and I swear I did this for like an hour or something, I was like wasn't satisfied, and yeah, maybe my next video I'm just gonna kind of like really speed this portion up and just kind of, especially if I'm not really doing much that's like visually interesting. But I think it's good to kind of show you guys like this is what artists go through. A lot of experiment. Nothing is like just instant. Like that looks great. It's everything is like trial and error, and you know this part I was like, needs like maybe I can kind of add some like it so it kind of frames the character more, and but then I think I ended up just not going with it because it took away, like it was distracting, it was too bright, it was taking away from the center figure. I kind of wanted, the center figure to be the main focus, and it was just sort of like not working, and I was trying to like dim it more, but it just wasn't, I wasn't feeling it. But I'm gonna keep trying, see if it works, but yeah, and sometimes I sort of like, I I shift layers, like I put them below certain layer effects or different. So and sometimes you get like this right now. It's like kind of a greenish, faded tint type thing, and like sometimes you surprise yourself and go, "Oh, it looks pretty cool." And I think at this point, I actually had to restart Photoshop because I deleted something, and then yeah, I was like, "Oh shit, I have to like." And I didn't save it, so I had to like redo a lot of that stuff I just did. But I took that as a sign, maybe just to go with something else. But and here I kind of added like a gray layer, and I can't remember what yeah, that obviously it didn't. I didn't stick with that one. Yeah, and this was like, I was like, maybe should I dim the background more? It looks too tonal right now, like it just looks like one solid color. And I like to have at least two contrasting colors. And God, I should have just picked another background or something. I look back at this video now, and like some of the earlier stages, I was like, damn, I should have just kept it like that, but it is what it is. You learn from your mistakes, I guess. Oh yeah, here I was messing with curves, and I kind of like really, tweaked it, and I was like, oh, that's kind of cool, like grayish effect, really brings out those textures more. And I was like thinking, oh, maybe I can just go that route, but I was like, oh no, I put all that time into getting that glow, and I was like, I don't want to like get rid of all that glow, and yeah, it was just, I think this is like the stage where I was like, man, I'm about to toss this thing in the trash. And even this, I didn't even record the end of the pro. I actually went back and kind of tweaked some more stuff on it for the final product. I didn't even record, so what you see as a final product is not recorded. So I slept on it, woke up in the middle, or woke up the next day and looked at it, and I was like, damn, I need to like redo some of the lighting or make it more bold or something. I don't know. But yeah, man, that's how it is. Life of an artist. I think the next piece I do for photomanipulation.com, I'm gonna pick something a little bit. I'm gonna really kind of come up with a cool idea, and hopefully things will kind of come together better than this one. But I feel like I put all this work into recording this thing, so I may as well show it to you guys. It's always good to, you know, show your vulnerability a bit, you know. And this, I was trying to do that round circular thing again. I like, maybe it'll look better this time. Well, nope. Should have just deleted that completely. And this, I think I was like, okay, I'm gonna mess with like the brightness and kind of bring out the blacks more, and I think this is pretty much the end. And I usually like flatten everything, and I kind of add a, I forgot what I do, like threshold. It's almost like a, yeah, it really it's like a way of sharpening images, but you can kind of adjust the how sharp you want it to be. I've always done it. I just, you know, now that I'm recording this, I totally forgot what it's called. But there it is, guys. That's pretty much it. And I mean, the final product is not too far off from this, but yeah. You know, hope you guys enjoyed the video. You know, if you like what you saw, leave a comment, and don't forget to subscribe too. And you know, I'll probably be doing more of these videos. So yeah, it was great talking to you, and I'll catch you next time.